that the Japanese bonsai community is like more or less open-minded than the American bonsai community?
Well, I guess you have to look at it in this way. I would say, in the U.S., the bonsai community is primarily a hobbyist driven community from its, interest points and, the members who comprise it. But, for nurseries in Japan, it's a business. So the kind of motivation and criteria is different. So when professionals generally work and make on trees. To some extent, there's some, artistic freedom, or, depending on how, financially secure that nursery is and its relationships with customers, the owner or artist, may have some more flexibility in doing what they want to do. But ultimately, you make trees that appeal to the customer base, or trees that are going to do well in the large shows in Japan. So there's the Kokufu, which is well known out in Tokyo. It's the arguably the best bonsai show, as some people say. Out closer to where I was, they have the Taikan-ten, which is out in Osaka. And the quality level of that show is not as high as the Kokufu, but the interesting thing about that show is you see a lot of more diversity in species and some kind of quirky trees here and there. So maybe the consistency and quality level is not as high, but I would say the variety and interest is a lot more. And of course, there's the professional show, which is called the Sakafu. So, going back to that question, at least as far as what I've seen, you can argue there's like this Japanese aesthetic in terms of like proportion and cleanliness and how they create their trees. But I'd say from artist to artist, there's definitely some nuance. Say, for example, in my nursery, traditionally, in the past, my Waikata's preference in styling and selling trees is to have extremely clean, sharp lines and designing the foliage paths, because he knew that's what would sell well for his customers. And especially for nowadays in Japan, we get a lot of buyers and brokers, mainly from China and some from Europe. Those kind of trees just tend to sell well. But if you look at some nurseries, of a famous one, maybe Shinji Suzuki's, a lot of his foliage pads are designed with intentions to be a lot softer in image, arguably a bit more naturalistic. I think these are small differences in nuances in the overall look, but I would say the core of bonsai in terms of design and technique, it's still quite similar amongst all other professionals. And in Japan, and this might be a cultural thing, there's not so much in terms of, individuality, standing apart from others in terms of, the design and uniqueness, but more of, taking a very nuanced approach. And, the small, subtle changes and aspects is something that give it, that's something you can appreciate and gives it a nice quality without detracting or taking away from the initial intention. So that's probably more in line with some cultural values. But I would say in U.S. we do see a lot of variety and interest in different types of bonsai styles and kind of how the hobbyist would like to practice it. I would say in Japan it's more uniform, but you do see differences among some professionals.
Mm-hmm. You'd probably have to spend a lot of time, and if you were to tour a bunch of different nurseries in Japan, you'd probably have to spend a lot of time studying the trees in each one to notice those differences, it seems like. But it would be cool to do.
Yeah.
Oh, did you have a comment, Andy?
I was just saying that was like really well said, I feel like, about how Julian put it. And I mean, I can even notice like too, like I read through all the Kokufu books. We have them all at the museum, and I just flip through them at my lunch break. Usually I just kind of like, and just whatever. And looking at all those, like you can really see those like little nuances, especially I feel like a good example was Shinji Suzuki, like his pad. I don't know if you saw the Taikan-ten prize, the Prime Minister Award Juniper he had on there.
Yeah.
Well, that tree, wow.
You're
Like I
talking
was
about
like,
the last Taikan-ten?
yeah, with the sun in the background
Oh yeah,
on the scroll.
I was there.
Yeah, that one,
saw,
I would,
yeah.
to see that tree in person, I'm pretty envious of you, because I saw some videos of that, and like you can see, like that, I like that little nuance that he has, but then I also like see your styling that you're doing, you know, at the nursery you're with, and it is beautiful in its own way, where it is a lot sharper. And I think that, yeah, and then you like we're talking about the U.S. It's here, it's with the hobbyists, you know, you can just do whatever the hell you want, because it's not, people aren't trying to sell for that, and it's like more, I feel like more raw materials being said, and people aren't really willing to spend that much money on a tree for that is, you know, been cared for that long, because the value in that is, I feel like, a lot of times undersold, even in Japan. I could be wrong, but I feel like that is here at least too.
Mm-hmm.
That is probably true. And I think maybe, or I don't know if it's just us because we're younger, but Andy, you mentioned this earlier, that you were saying you take more joy in creating something new than like getting a tree that's already established. And I feel like that's my mindset too. Like I would rather go collect a tree myself and watch it evolve and buy one that someone else has collected and already styled, and then you're just kind of making more minor modifications. If in my mind I don't have like a dramatic change for the tree, I don't think I would invest money in it. But yeah.
I wish I could. I wish I had
That's
the money.
also true. It's also a matter of not having money.
Yeah.